Cool. Hey, Zach. Just give people a couple seconds. Let me see if I can. Arnaud as well. Cool. All right. Since this is being recorded, I will go ahead and start and just say hey to everyone that's joining in the recording or joining the live session right now. Thank you guys for joining us. We are now more than midway through NoirHack. It's been an interesting couple of weeks through the Learn sessions where we've had some really interesting guests come on and share for workshops. Some have been library workshops, so we've learned how to build more things with Noir. And then some have been more around different ecosystems like StarkNet and World. So we learn how to deploy Noir across different ecosystems. But yeah, I just wanted to record this for all of you guys who are joining us and hacking through the build weeks with Zach and Arnaud here to just get you guys more excited in these last few build weeks as we push to our deadline to submit on May 9th for our demo day. So I will let Zach take it away and share some more words and hopefully get you guys amped up to build in this last phase of NoirHack.
All right, welcome everybody. Hello, hello, hello. You can't, don't think it can be seen, but I am repping the Noir merch here. Um, yeah, wow, it's been a really exciting moment for the whole of the development of Noir in the ecosystem. Seeing so many people sign up and participate and engage with NoirHack and with Noir has been honestly it's been extremely wholesome and heartening. So I just want to extend a huge thank you to everybody who is grinding at the coalface and building awesome things with our technology. Um, you know, it's something I wouldn't have dreamt that this kind of thing would have been possible all those years ago when I got started. So I want to, if it's all right with folks, maybe exchange a few war stories, Shaggy Dog stories about the origins of this all is and how did Noir become a thing? How did this all happen? How did we get here? Well, um, uh, it all begins in 2017, 80 years ago now, which is a lifetime in crypto. Um, it was the peak ICO boom at that time. Everybody was launching a coin or a token to do everything, from DeFi to finance to airdropping, pet food to rebels in Iraq or whatever. Like anything that could be tokenized or was tokenized. So what we were trying to do at the time was nothing to do with privacy, really. It was really boring, but important. It was traditional finance, mid-market loans, corporate debt. We were creating a platform to help these traditional actors more efficiently communicate with each other and coordinate with each other on Ethereum. It was in my mind, very compelling, still compelling use case of blockchain that touches the real world. Um, and we needed privacy for it to work because we had multi-billion-dollar portfolios or were planning to put those on chain. And I was very naive about privacy. Me and my co-founders were. We were all like, "Oh, privacy. Yeah, surely somebody's figured this out, right? I mean, surely people want privacy on a blockchain. It's really important. Surely it's a solved thing." And then we realized with growing horror, oh my God, no, there's Zcash, but other than that, there's nothing. And there's this horrible thing called zero knowledge cryptography. That's the key. And oh dear God, what have we got ourselves into? So and from that we started researching privacy tech because it was either that or going back to my boring trad job in London. And I didn't want to do that. So yeah, I went down a ZK rabbit hole, and effectively, I guess one could argue I got ZK pilled, ZK radicalized. Um, uh, really, really swallowed the ZK stuff because there was so much about the world that I just accepted as just necessary and unpleasant, but there's not much you can do about, particularly when it comes to our online experiences. How we are all slaves to the great algorithms. How everything is monetized online through advertising, which incentivizes this dystopian like data harvesting operation against individuals to the point where we're not really customers anymore. We're products that are being sold to advertisers, where all of the media that we consume, the goal isn't necessarily to provide us with an engaging, compelling product. It's to keep us engaged. And if they can do that by enraging us or aggravating us or distressing us, they will do that. Um, it's causing an enormous amount of social ills in the world. And I just assumed that this kind of advertising surveillance-based model, revenue model for the internet was just how the only way that it could work, right? I mean, how else are you going to monetize? Um, uh, and then I realized, and then I discovered zero knowledge proofs, and I realized, hang on a minute, there's actually a way that you could, in theory, have your cake and eat it here. You can create products and applications and services which don't need to harvest a user's information to work. They just take what's required. The user proves to them what's required for the application. And then you can combine this with distributed permissionless transaction ledgers to create alternative ways of financing these applications, either through tokenomics or through old-fashioned micropayments, where you can use a blockchain network and its scalability and throughput, in theory, to create payment mechanisms that can rival and surpass Visa, Mastercard. Even something as basic as if you ever wondered why you can't, let's say you go to a news website and it would always say, oh, you want to read this article, click here to subscribe for a month. Have you ever wondered why they don't ever say, oh, you want to read this article? Click here and pay 10 cents. And it's because the transaction networks that they use, payment networks, are too expensive for that to work. Um, and so, even nowadays, we're seeing the inevitable corruption of our AI models as well, where ChatGPT is starting to incorporate product suggestions into its responses that will no doubt eventually become monetized to advertisers, and will lead to the enshittification of AI, just as it led to the enshittification of search engines. And so, where does ZK come into this? Well, it's a small counterweight to this all. There's a current tidal wave of manipulation that's happening online, designed to steal our attention away from ourselves. And uh, the way I like to, the analogy I like to give is it's the old Greek parable of Pandora's box, where Pandora's given a box and she's told, "Don't open this," and she obviously opens it, and all of the evils of the world come out: pestilence, famine, war, disease. All of the evils come out of this box. But then the last thing to come out is hope that things can get better, hope that the world can be improved and healed. And in my mind, privacy tech is the hope in the Pandora's AI box. It's the hope of the information age because it allows individuals to reclaim control of their own information and data. It allows them to more permissionlessly opt in to disclosing what they want instead of having it extracted from them. It allows people to create more human-centered networks where individuals can coordinate with each other on how to collectively pool and disseminate their assets instead of having some agentic AI or algorithm do it on their behalf, but without their interests at heart. Anyway, so this is a long rambling um, talk section about why I think privacy is important, why I think what you're doing is existentially important. Being able leveraging this technology to build products, applications, even if it's something as simple as a basic game that just leverages some information asymmetry, it's contributing to the development and growth of this technology, that can act as a small counterweight to some of the social evils invading our information spaces today. This is what really gets me excited, what gets me up in the morning, wanting to develop this technology. And I see it as our mission to give you the tools to pull off these kinds of privacy applications, to be able to develop these kinds of applications without having to be a cryptographer, without having to be some kind of incredible domain-specific genius in mathematics. And obviously, it's always a work in progress. And I am very grateful for you all being the early adopters. So thank you for your patience and your tolerance and your enthusiasm. It is really incredibly validating to see all of the effort that's been going into NoirHack. And I'm really looking forward to what's getting produced. And again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
I want to ask Zach maybe a couple of questions. So first, I maybe would like to hear you answer why now. So we're kicking off this build week. Why do you think this moment is so crucial for devs to dive in and go deeper into building like tangible applications? And then the other question I want to ask you is more just around like what vision you have for applications. So I shared some of the GitHubs from some of the people who applied to
Yeah,
show and tell. So I would love to kind of get your take on some of these builders and what they've built so far, and what
totally.
kind of use cases you're the most excited about. So I guess why
Yeah.
now, and then what you're excited about.
Why now? Well, now is really the first time this has actually really been possible. We've been developing Noir for many years, and as some of you may know, it's not always been the pleasant, seamless experience it is today. It's been a long journey to get both the technology and the tooling to the point where meaningful applications can be built. And you really are the first wave, as in this is going to be a very disruptive technology, a powerful technology that enables like new novel applications to be built on a blockchain. And being part of the first wave, becoming the domain experts in this emerging technology, I think is going to be that's the hope is going to be extremely valuable, and will put you all in a very very unique position versus your typical Web3 developer. Imagine coming into Web3 today and you're new. Like, what do you do? Do you just build another decks, or another, like on-chain game that's been seen before. There's not much innovation happening at the smart contract layer, at the app layer, outside of the privacy space. But here we're getting real innovation, really exciting innovation. And I think, like leading into that, some of the stuff that people have applied to show and tell for, I'm really, really excited for. Things like cross-platform payments, and peer-to-peer uh, like on and offboarding into Web3. I think Troker might be doing some of that. Is incredibly exciting and important. Or things like doing anonymous company reviews. So a Glassdoor, but actually decent and not manipulated. Open bands. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Things like just doing uh, even like just laying the groundwork for what's to come. Things like doing account abstraction, verifying the ERC 4337 protocol is going to be like a really foundational piece of technology that other people will be able to use. Stuff like statistical validation, scientific research validation in Noir. Wow, that's so cool. So exciting. Just and stuff like here that I wouldn't have like imagined myself, which is the really exciting stuff. It's the stuff where it's when people build things that you didn't see coming is when things are really changing. So things like an anonymous college matching algorithm is like really exciting. Not something I thought of. Location verification as well. That's awesome. Yeah, it's a real diverse bucket of applications being built. And that's what really excites me the most. It's not just, 100 teams all building the same two, three ideas over and over again. It's there's a real diversity of ideas here, and that's really exciting.
Awesome. And then maybe some advice for the teams who are joining via recording or here live. What advice would you give them on how to build something that really demonstrates like the unique power and potential of Noir, and then maybe Aztec, as I've been surprised by how many teams are also interested in
Mm,
writing smart contracts during
yeah.
NoirHack.
So I guess like first thing is, are you leveraging an information asymmetry? Um, because that's really that's the litmus test for do you need privacy? As in, do some of your users know something that other users don't? And is that information asymmetry being utilized by your protocol or application in some way? Um, a basic example is private voting, where the information asymmetry is I know how I voted, you don't know how I voted, but my vote still contributes to the total. And I guess general advice would be, like don't be afraid of looking foolish. Like everyone's new here, so like ask all the questions. We have discords. We have loads of people willing to help. We have a really wholesome community. So just ask anything on your mind. Nobody's going to judge you. Yeah, this is the place. This is the time to really just be completely free and wild with your ideas and your experimentation.
Yeah, and I would like to ask Arnaud, our foundation director, who's also here, the same question. What advice you'd give to teams who are here, who are focusing intensely? Maybe they've had some ideas, they've worked through the Learn Weeks, how they can really demonstrate the unique like power and potential of Noir, and then maybe also Aztec.
Yeah. Um, I think what's a bit having gone through a few cycles, and not only in crypto, but just I have always been in and around technology. I think I grew up on the internet. I feel like I've experienced multiple phases of the internet that have disappeared long ago. Um, my couple thoughts are like it's not going to be straightforwardly like obvious standing where we are now, looking forward or trying to look forward, what this is all for, right? I think there's maybe a certain preconception that you need to kind of like figure out exactly where you're going from the get-go. But I don't think that's how interesting things start most of the time. That's certainly not actually how we started, back in 2017 with Credit Mint. We had like an intuition about this shift that was happening, that was, Ethereum as this new jurisdiction, maybe this new place on which to issue assets. But in retrospect, basically all of our mental models of how and when and like why things would happen ended up wrong. Sometimes wrong in small ways, and sometimes wrong in quite big ways. I think the thing to really anchor on is if there is something that you find compelling or interesting or just a little bit curious, it's oftentimes an indication that there's maybe a part of the design space or kind of like a chunk of the world that is at the very least worth exploring, right? So not necessarily saying I'm not going to think about where I'm going at all, but saying maybe we're in this phase of this technology where the most valuable thing to do is to poke at things with aggression and to just explore the design space with quite a high velocity, and individual kind of predictions about how things will all work out together matter maybe a little bit less than you're kind of getting to know the right people, you're embedding yourself in the right space of knowledge, you're kind of playing around with the right tools, and just like really pursuing that curiosity. The second thing that I'll say is probably related to this. I think we oftentimes feel a little bit too compelled to be for everyone all the time. That's the meme, right? At the moment is insert technology is for everyone. I think that's all well and good, but maybe especially in these kinds of contexts, allow yourself to just be for like specific people, right? Allow yourself to just build things that might be cool just for you, or just for a group chat that you're part of, or just for this Discord, or just like the subculture that you identify with. It doesn't have to be like overall legible from day one to absolutely everyone for it to eventually be quite valuable. In fact, most of the time, I'd argue the things that end up becoming interesting to the world at large start off being only interesting, only legible to a very small set of people. And I found that quite liberating, to accept that actually you only need a couple people that find what you're doing cool for it to be justified as a piece of effort. You don't need to justify it to the maximum, like as large of a group as possible from day one. The flip side to this, and this is maybe my next point, is it is definitely your job to make yourself legible. And now you can consider it your job to make yourself legible just to 10 people that you want on a product that you build. Or as you grow and as you kind of like keep exploring this design space, maybe your job becomes making yourself legible to the world at large. But that's definitely your job, right? Like if you're failing to convince at first only the people that you care about, but eventually people that are maybe slightly outside of people that you naturally care about. Maybe they have money that you want in order to continue building it, or maybe they are potential employees, or maybe they're the press, or whatever it is. If you're continuously failing to make the point that you think you want to make, that is also something that is part of building something is kind of like making yourself legible, figuring out the right audience at the right time, but making yourself legible is definitely part of your job. That's maybe like to your question, right? Like what advice for people in this phase? That's where I'm at. Like allow yourself to just be curious, explore the design space. Don't overthink. Don't try to fit it into this neat box of something that looks like what you imagine a Silicon Valley pitch to look like. Allow yourself to build just for a very small subset of people, even if it's just for you or for a group chat or for a subculture or like a Discord, or just like have a defined audience. Don't try to over justify yourself, but then also take the responsibility, kind of iterate through how you talk about it, what you want to build. And if you're really, really failing to get any attention from the people that you want attention from, there's signal in there as well that maybe you're not building the right thing, or maybe you're not explaining it in the right way. In the next couple of weeks, that's probably my like most concise pieces of advice. And the one that I would stress the most is like really, really focus on just doing something that you find interesting within your little bubble. Even if you don't feel like you can fully explain it to the wider, Twitter at large. That's seldom a good reason to not do something. This kind of like lack of feeling of legibility.
That's great advice, and maybe a follow-up question there. So for the folks who are here, they're attending live. They're the most leaned in, who are even attending office hours. They're especially excited to be at the demo day to get to present. Maybe you could give some more specific feedback or advice around narrative building, considering that many of the folks here will be the first time that they're presenting in like this broader context with a goal of showcasing a product. Maybe any feedback or points there. You gave some great feedback that I think you could draw from already about like focusing on an audience, but just building off and thinking about how to contextualize that for this demo day performance.
Yeah. Let me think. I clearly stories are this like very, very important tool. We still are very indexed as a species on stories. Um, the people who I think are in this room maybe value it slightly less than the average person, just from experience. Um, but the gist, if you're don't think about the judges, don't think about the pitches in this kind of like professional setting. Just think about someone on the Discord, or even like someone that you would want to convince to work with you on the thing that you're curious about or that you want to explore. Um, you need to tell them a story that is, it's not supposed to, like in that first conversation, necessarily communicate all the details about what you figured out, or what you want to explore, or what have you, right? You just want to have them interested enough to have the second conversation. And that's something that I see a lot of. I've worked with a lot of early stage founders, specifically in kind of storytelling, for example, fundraising, or kind of selling to customers, or selling to early employees is quite a specific thing, right? But I'd say the most common error is to want, like, if you are not able to communicate fully the whole context, all the facts, all that kind of stuff, is in some way you feel like you failed, when in fact it's the opposite. That's true most of the time. Like you have like a couple of points that you can make in every conversation, and you're much better off narrowing the set of points that you make, even if some detail gets lost, rather than try to communicate everything at once. To come back to demoing in front of judges at the end of NoirHack, for those of you that will go down that route, I'd say like you can find online probably hundreds of thousands of presentations of people at these kinds of events, and you can afford to be really, really just like go look at I don't know, 25 of them, and notice how often from 10 seconds in on, they've just completely lost you, right? Because they are too nervous, or they're like trying to get too in detail up front, or they're not actually even telling you what they've done, or what they're doing, or what got them excited about the thing that they ended up doing. So you can calibrate yourself, right? And you can learn from all this content online, kind of what doesn't work, most of all. I'd say if you have a 5-minute slot to present what you do, just start off by telling us what you did, right? Like what you're planning on doing. Try to weave a story if there's a story to be weaved, about why it's interesting, why yourself are interested in it, and then do demos, right? Like actually show what you've done. If you get those three things in a 5-minute slot, you've already done better than essentially everyone who's ever presented at a hackathon or similar event. You'll be all right, even if you stumble a little bit, even if you lose your train of thought at various points. If you just focus on those three things, just like actually telling us what the thing is, weaving a little bit of a story about why you got interested in it or why it's interesting in some abstract way, and then actually showing the thing, you're going to be in a pretty good spot.
Awesome, thank you. And then just on that point, we will have more office hours. So we have office hours this week. We'll have more office hours, including some with Arnaud, and then we'll have a session on pitches specifically to get you guys more ready for demo day. So we'll explore more of those ideas next week. I also want to ask both of you guys, now with this focus on NoirHack through this program, now that we're more than halfway through, how do you see developers who are actively building applications with Noir, like they are this week, reinforce both of your visions for Aztec, in terms of like differentiation and just like success for Aztec more broadly. So maybe Zach, you could start.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I'm seeing is basically what I wanted to see, which is that people are doing cool stuff that's novel, that only privacy enables, which is kind of the whole point of Aztec. The whole point of Aztec is, okay, so you take a language like Noir and then you give it an execution environment. The same way that, Node.js is an execution environment for JavaScript. You need somewhere stateful that can understand private state, that allows you to manipulate that private state, write contracts, emit events that you can then plug into an app, so that you can have multi-party coordination, and an actual record of events. So you can use this tech to build assets, or NFTs, or certificates for gaming, tokens, whatever you want. And we're starting to see that all happen. So yeah, it's very very affirming for me.
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier. I'm a child of the internet. I've never lived in a world where the internet does not exist, and to a significant extent, my life exists somewhere either fully digital or digitally mediated. And I was born kind of in the first half of the 90s. And so I just got looking back, I just feel like I have some tie to the world where instead of the internet, we spoke about cyberspace. Um, and in that world, cyberspace was a place, right? It was a jurisdiction. It was a place where economic activity happened. It was a third place, not in the physical world. It was a frontier that was kind of distinct from the world as it existed then. And to a large extent, over the course of my life, cyberspace has disappeared from view, right? We've gone from cyberspace to the internet. We've gone from this frontier to dank memes. And what got me interested in crypto and Ethereum specifically, and the reason I think Aztec in kind of Noir and privacy preserving technologies, in the sense that they enable Ethereum to be real, to actually achieve its potential. The thing that has me hooked is this idea that they are pathways to us like reclaiming cyberspace. So the things that I'm particularly excited about in general, are things where maybe people take themselves seriously as seriously as maybe people took themselves in, let's say, the 1700s, when they took their whole family and they took their whole community from parts of England and shipped themselves all the way across this Atlantic Ocean to this land where nothing very much of substance existed, and didn't do it out of a sense of they themselves might have a better life, but maybe their grandchildren might have a better life going to this frontier. And in that context, I just want to see projects who embody this view that what we're trying to do, this project that we're all a part of, with Ethereum, with crypto more broadly, with Noir and privacy preserving technologies, and for some of you Aztec, is that, right? We're trying to reopen this frontier. We're trying to bring things on chain. We're trying to bridge the gap towards a new jurisdiction. that is actually adapted to the world as it exists, not to the world that used to exist before the internet. And if there's even a hint of that in the projects that come out of NoirHack, I'll be extraordinarily happy and extremely thrilled.
Amazing. Make cyberspace great again. Yeah, I think another question, maybe going back to, since Arnaud, you mentioned some of the early days, thinking back to the early days, maybe there's some parallels with some of the energy and the challenges that these builders face. Are there any like big lessons that you guys would want to share with builders who are in this first stage and maybe, post demo day or kicking off this same journey? Maybe Arnaud, if you want to start this.
It's going to be if you really go at this, it's going to be much longer than you think it will. And on the flip side, the world is much weirder and much more malleable than you can possibly imagine. So, you know, the two pieces of advice that are of abstract advice that apply are don't don't die, don't lie to yourself, and just if you do that and you keep going, and you're decently smart and you're ambitious in the right ways, you'll be okay. So don't overthink it at the start. Just do things that are interesting, that make you curious. Do things with a certain amount of aggression, and yeah, don't die, don't lie to yourself.
I like that. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I got unfortunately just slightly distracted. Could you
Oh,
repeat your
no
question?
worries. Yeah, I was asking if there's any like basically I was reminded of a project actually that's just attended office hours called Comet. They're building lending, like private lending on
Hmm.
Aztec, using Noir smart contracts. And so Arnaud had mentioned the early days where you guys were also working on lending. And so I was
Hmm.
wondering if there's any like key takeaways or insights from those early days, as there are some builders who maybe are just on the beginnings of
Mm.
that journey post demo day.
Yeah. Very long time ago. Any learnings? I think it's more about the journey than the destination sometimes. As in, our destination changed a lot over time, uh, but every step was still worth it. In hindsight, what we were trying to do in 2017 was too ambitious. The technology wasn't there yet, but it is today. Um, I guess don't be afraid of being ambitious. Generally, in my experience, what I found is that for most achievements in the world, the people who've acquired those achievements and gone on those journeys, made those discoveries, they weren't necessarily the best at their field. They weren't the best people who were in the best place to do them, or to make the inventions. It, but they were the best of the very small group of people that were mad enough to actually try and commit and not get distracted or scared away, which is a much smaller set. Um, I mean, it's back in the day as well as how I dealt with imposter syndrome. If you're trying to do something like that's challenging, why you? Why are you the best place to do it? Well, maybe you're not, but maybe you're the only lunatic that's actually trying. Um, yeah. Uh, Also, make I think something that we had back then, which was very important, is the team had a very good blend of technical and domain knowledge. I was one of the tech guys, Anna's one of the tech guys, but we had Tom Pocock, he was our CEO back then, and he'd worked in the City of London and worked in this very complicated real world financial asset space, mid-market corporate debt. And he provided that experience and expertise required to actually understand what we needed to build and sell to clients. So if you're trying something which touches the real world, make sure you connect with domain experts in that area. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. So much of what happens in Web3 and in tech in general is tech bros like reinventing stuff that's already been done and discovered. We're seeing this with DAO governance today. This is my own pet peeve, but I basically feel that tech bros are spending many, many years very, very slowly rediscovering the tenets of liberal democracy when it comes to on-chain governance. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see how that pans out. Yes, talk to experts.
Yeah, this is great advice. Maybe one last like founder question for you guys. What's maybe one thing that you hope people take away from this experience of actually creating something with Noir during NoirHack, whether they, make it to demo day or not? What's like something you'd hope that they come away with after a program like this?
I just hope that people meet one, two, or in extreme cases, extreme positive cases, maybe 10 people who they just want to hang out with and want to explore like various design spaces, whether it's like privacy, especially, or maybe working in like with Noir gives them ideas in some other currently open frontier that they want to go explore. That to me is always the scarcest resource, and I hope that like people are able uh, to just meet good people and work with them on interesting ideas, even if it takes a while to get them off the ground. I think that'd be a great outcome.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. What do I want people to get out of this? So obviously, I want them to get out skills and experience in Noir. So be a better Noir developer. But also less cynical. I think to expand on what Arnaud said, some more experience of developing a product end to end. Of um, but yeah, basically, it's what Anna said. It's coming out of this with more ideas than you had coming into this. It's I hope people feel energized. That hope they feel like they're taking part in a very dynamic and novel scene, really, with interesting people and characters that they can learn from and to collaborate with. And Yeah, I hope that people forge connections here that last for many years to come.
Amazing. Thank you, guys. So let's start answering some of these questions. So Satyam asked a question for you, Zach. What are your thoughts on on-chain gaming with Noir and MPC? Any suggestions for teams building multiplayer games using this tech? He's asking in the context of Fog of War risk strategy game that their team is building. And they would love feedback on how they could approach
I love it.
multiplayer gaming and Fog of
Yeah.
War.
So I wrote a multiplayer gaming library last month. I think it's called NPC Lib. It's on my GitHub. You might see it on Twitter as well. And I used it to create a demo proof of concept Fog of War chess game. I definitely start there because the whole point of me writing that library was to create an interface for some NPC primitives that make them a little easier to use than if you have to roll it all from scratch. I think some other advice would be to try to keep things as simple as possible. Obviously, like when you're, for example, in an NPC setting, the um, uh, there's if you want to do selective disclosure, for example, then the hang on, I'm wondering how to answer this without getting too technical. But basically, uh, the, you can only have about 100 different discrete game states. So, for example, with Fog of War chess, we have there's 64 squares on a board, which basically means every single round of the NPC, the participants are communicating 64 encrypted state objects with each other, which is fine. But you can't scale too much beyond that, maybe 100. That should be fine for Risk. There's not that many territories in Risk. Um, uh, yeah. So look at that library. Hopefully it can inspire you. Ask lots of questions on the Discord if they're about NPC. I think it'll probably get back to me as well. And I'm very happy to help out with that.
Awesome. And then to answer a question I saw in the chat really quickly, demo day is going to be only for the select few top participants. So not everyone will be able to present at demo day. It's a closed demo day to VCs. So yeah. Also, Satyam says thank you. Let's also answer this anonymous question. So they're asking about applying for NoirHack. So I think there's some confusion about the final deadline versus the start of the program. So the deadline you saw that's 2 weeks away is the submission deadline. So you can apply right now, and if you're just now attending this Anon, you can start building right now and then make it to the submission. And then he also asked about Bitcoin versus ETH and just thinking about the security of that. I don't know if we want to answer that necessarily. Um, But yeah. Okay, I'll do some final housekeeping. Thank you guys for joining me in this session. I really wanted to give people this like early energy, maybe bring you guys back to the early days as Arnaud did, and kind of give people some excitement around like what this program is and what is possible. So thank you guys for joining. And then really quickly, I'll just share that we have a little under 2 weeks now. We have the rest of this week and next week for you guys to submit your projects. For those who are just joining or checking out this recording, the Notion start page, www.noirhack.com/start is the place to check for all information about the program. It's the source of truth. And we will open up submissions for the projects this next week. So you can start submitting. And then we have office hours through this week, through next week. So if you want to get feedback, if you're really serious about trying to make it to demo day, please attend those office hours. And we'll also have a session next week on pitching that Arnaud will help me with, where we'll go a little bit deeper into like how to have a great narrative for trying to get to demo day. So a couple questions that just popped up. Do we have to complete our project development before the demo day? Yes, you would have to complete your project before demo day, as submissions are a prerequisite to attend the demo day. So you'll need to submit your project to even be qualified for demo day. Also, again, if you're serious about attending the demo day, the best thing you can do is come to the office hours and get your questions answered. We've already had some amazing teams who have shared their work so far. Some of you guys are in a great position to make it to demo day already, as you've done a lot in the Learn weeks. But if you haven't, no worries. There's still, basically 2 more weeks to hack and build something cool. And I also really want to emphasize that there are a bunch of other recordings. If you're watching this on 2x speed, like I would be watching it, just check out the other workshops. Watch those on 2x, 3x, whatever you're capable of watching, and learn about MoPro, ZK Kit, ZK email, and build from scratch. The Noir is far enough along that you don't have to start completely from scratch. Sorry, you can build from one of these libraries and get a lot of these features for free. And then Nerfe is asking, where will we get the link to submit? Everything again will be in the Notion start page. So all of the submission stuff, submission details, prizes, everything around the program itself is in the Notion page. And all questions that you have or correspondence that you want to start about like help, you have technical questions, that's all through Discord. So if you have any questions like this question and you feel like, oh, this thing wasn't clear, you can ask it in the Discord. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I'm glad. I hope you guys are excited. We have still like a good amount of time to actually build something really cool, and I'm especially excited to see people build on the shoulders of some of these like amazing libraries. MoPro is one I haven't yet seen someone use, so if you're watching this recording, especially, I would love for you to just watch the MoPro workshop. I think Vivi from PSE did a great job showing how you can use Swift or Flutter or React Native. They have full support for a bunch of these different libraries to build a mobile app with proving. So you don't have to start from scratch. You can use ZK email in a mobile app. So would love to see people try those things out. Thanks again, Zach and Arnaud, for sharing the time and talking a bit more about founding and that early energy. And I will end the session, and I'll be excited to see you guys at the pitch session or in our final workshops next week. Oh, maybe one last question about testnet, if anyone wants to answer that.
Um, what is there to say except, soon TM? No, we've locked in the date. We know exactly when it's happening. You know, launching. I tweeted about this today. Launching a network like this, decentralized from day one, is a good reminder that no matter how much you design and think about things and plan for things, the real world is just weirder and kind of will throw things at you that you didn't think about. And that's why you do it live, right? And that's why you actually do the thing and don't just kind of like retreat to your basement to build the perfect orb. That's why you try to ship as early and as quickly as you can. So yeah, I'm really excited for the kind of, technically the network is maybe already live is what I'll say, but for people to be able to really interact with it and play around with it, is definitely going to be improving a lot in the next couple weeks, next couple months. But I'm still very, very excited to just have it out in the world as an independent network, permissionless and decentralized from day one.
Yeah, to add to that, we know the dates, but I am contractually obliged to not share. But yeah, soon, trademark.
Soon, Anon, soon. Well, cool. Thanks again, guys. Thank you to everyone who joined live, and thank you to everyone who's watching on 2x, 3x, or even 4x speed. Impressive if you are. But thanks, and we'll see you in the next workshop or session. Bye, everyone.